2019, I made $32,000. Not very much as far as income goes, and I was still able to save almost $12,000. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how. And no, I didn't get an inheritance or anything like that. It was just a matter of staying focused and building a system out that actually works. That's what I want to share with you. So let's dive into it. First thing that I want you to realize is that most books and most financial tools out there assume that you have some kind of leftover money at the end of each month, which is not necessarily the case. If you're earning under $60,000 a year, I'm just gonna be honest with you, things are genuinely hard right now. And that's why you're watching this video. They're all assuming that you have leftover money at the end of every single month. But what if you don't? What if your paycheck has already been spoken for before it ever even hits your account? What if you're in that spot? I'm here to tell you that it's not a discipline problem. It's a math problem, and in this video, we're gonna fix the math. Now, I wanna show you a chart that I put together from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that basically break down the average American's budget, and I'm gonna show you what this looks like on a $40,000 income. So now these are broken down into percentages as to how much each category that the average American spends on their budget, from looking at housing to transportation, food, insurance, all of that. And so we're gonna look at this. As you might expect, the largest expense item in somebody's budget is typically going to be housing. That makes up about 33% of your budget. Well, if you have a $40,000 income, what that leaves you with, estimated take home on a year is $33,200. Monthly, that looks like $2,767. If you were to break it down into a daily, that's about $91 per day that you earn on average. The average housing in the United States is going to be up 33.4% of your budget. Where that breaks down to, if you're at a $40,000 a month income, $924. Well, guess what? The average rent in the United States is currently $2,000, more than double that. Basically, I'd be having to earn $80,000 as a single individual or household income just to be able to afford that same 33% of my budget going towards housing. It would take almost an $80,000 income to fit within the average. But we're not looking at average. We're looking at lower than average because we're learning how can we actually budget on a lower income. Well, first off is just realizing that this data is actually really useful. So again, 33% of $40,000 salary is going to be about $924 per month that you have to spend on housing. When it comes to transportation, that makes up on average 17% of a person's budget, which is $470. That includes car payment, that includes insurance, that includes maintenance and gas and all the other luxury items that you might spend on your car. Moving into the third largest category in a person's budget is going to be food. Almost 13%, whether that's eating out or groceries, people are spending on food. On a $40,000 a year budget, that makes up about $357 per year. It breaks down to about $4,300 for a single person. Then below that, you've got health insurance, pensions, healthcare, entertainment. All of these other items are categorized in an average person's budget, make up to 100%. But what if all of your expenses exceed 100%? Well, that's what we're going to be covering next. Now, you may have already watched a lot of videos online. If you're just getting into budgeting, you may have heard of this idea called zero-based budgeting. And what zero-based budgeting is basically you're taking your income and you're subtracting your expenses, and after both of those, you're left with $0 left over. Well, the question is, what happens when I have more expenses and less income? How do I do it then? So you're gonna start with your income, right? Income goes up at the very top. Then you're gonna think about every single expense. Again, so that comes down to housing, and then you've got transportation. These are the ones that we just looked at. You got food, insurance. You subtract all of those from your income, and ideally, you're left with $0 at the end of the month. So let's look at that same example. If you're making $40,000 a year, that breaks down to about a $2,700 per month take-home pay. So let's just say that you factor in housing and you found something that isn't quite the average, but it's a little bit less than average. You find $1,500 per month. That leaves you with $1,200, but before you've spent anything else. Then you take out your transportation. You've got a $700 car payment that you have to factor in, plus You have 200 when it comes to gas and insurance. So you take those out, that's another $900. You're left with just $300. This is transportation, and up here you've got housing. And this is just the top 3 categories. By the way, these 3 categories make up 63% of your budget, which is massive. But in this case, it's basically eating the entire paycheck because the cost of living is so high right now. This is before we ever even get to the debt payments. This is before we ever even get to the insurance. This is before we ever get to the entertainment, the fun, the subscriptions. And I honestly didn't even mean to set this up, but look at this, dies. What happens when you get to this point? Your budget is literally dying. It dies at this point because you're so far beyond your means, and this is why it feels like I'm going behind every single month. So what do I actually do from here? We've got this zero-based budgeting, but on a low income, it just doesn't work. As I had mentioned before, back in 2019, I'd made $32,000. Well, I was able to still manage to save $12,000 of that. And the reason being, the biggest reason, is because I looked at all of my expenses. We get into this habit of just feeling like I have to have all these things. That's the way that I've done it. This is my current life and where I'm at. But I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that way. There's nothing that says that you have to stay in the same apartment. There's nothing that says you have to own the car that you do. There's nothing that says you have to go out and eat the way that you do with all the friends that you think you have. There's nothing that says you have to do any of that. So you can literally upend your entire life if you take a detailed audit of your current finances, which I'd encourage you to do. Don't be afraid to just start from scratch and look, here are the averages, here's what I can truly afford, and then go from there. So for housing, for example, nothing says that you have to spend $924. Back in 2019, yes, prices were different. I was able to roommate, and I was able to only pay $450. Now, was it luxury? No, absolutely not, but it kept a roof over my head, and that was all I needed. As for transportation, I never wanted to have a car payment. Now, what that means is I didn't drive around the most luxurious of cars. I had scrapes. I even had a huge dent in my car. And yeah, did it look ugly? Absolutely. But was the car paid off? Yes, it takes some work to get there. But if you can have no car payment, you have to realize cars go down in value. They're not a good long-term investment. And having a car payment is one of the worst financial decisions that you can make. So of course, I wanted to get rid of the car payment as quickly as I could, even if that meant buying a cheap but reliable car. Even if it had a big dent in it, even if my friends made fun of me, it got me from point A to point B. I literally still have the car today, and it's one of the best financial moves that I ever made. Then we get down to food. Eating out is one of the biggest expenses that a lot of people have in their budget. Well, that was one opportunity that at less than $60,000 in 2026 dollars, you can't hardly afford eating out. Not that I don't want you to, but right now, if it's more than 13% of your budget, it's probably gonna be a little bit beyond what you can afford. So again, those are just the top 3 expenses that we're looking at. We're looking at housing, we're looking at transportation, and we're looking at food. Again, they make up 63% of your budget. If we can lower those 3 expenses, they're what I call the big 3. And I talk about them in my book, 1 Minute Money, where these are the biggest 3 expenses that we can quickly make to be able to make progress when it comes to our finances. So at this point, you're thinking, this is great, but maybe it's not as practical as lower your expenses. I wanna give you a few key takeaways based on this video. So here are the key takeaways that I have for you. Number 1 being you have to have a hard audit of your expenses. You need to compare the percentages to what your fellow friends, Americans, coworkers, what they're all spending. Compare it to how much of your income that you're actually spending. And, are you spending way too much in a certain category? Are there categories where maybe you could actually spend a little bit more, that you have a little bit more wiggle room? Chances are you're running into more month than you are money at the end of every single month. Chances are that you do not have enough money at the end of each month, and that's why you're here. So take a really hard audit of your expenses and look, what do I need to cut and what can I actually keep? Start from ground zero. If I were to just get rid of everything today and I were to look at the percentages that we've talked about in this video, how much would that actually mean that I could comfortably spend in every single category? And even then, that doesn't leave me enough to do savings and investments, which is so important. Number 2 takeaway is that I want you to write down your income and your expenses. Actually take a few minutes to write these down, put them on paper, and then subtract how much am I actually left with at the end of every single month. And then third takeaway is I want you to try as best you can to follow a zero-based budget. And again, that is where you take your income minus your expenses and you're left with zero. Plan this before the month even begins. How can I get this to be a zero-based budget? And again, if you're not there, if you're struggling to get there, maybe you've got so much debt that it's almost impossible for you to get there. Figure out a way. Start from scratch. Get rid of all the preconceived notions that I need to have this apartment, that I need to do this certain thing, that I need to keep up with this appearance, that I need to have this pet. Now, I'm not saying go get rid of your pets, but literally every single decision that you've ever made in your life, I want you to reconsider it. I want you to think, what would it look like if I didn't have this expense in my life? What would that mean for my finances? How could I get ahead if I didn't have to make this purchase every single month, every single week? That's what it would look like to do a complete overhaul on your budget. And if you'd like more help on this specifically, I've got a 5-day challenge where you can get the same system that I use, the same system that I set up for my clients. There's a link in the bio if you want to check it out. I know budgeting on a low income is hard. I've done it before, and I know that you can do it too. I hope you found this valuable. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.